It is Sunday, October 6, 2013. I'm here in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, engaged in what one Unitarian Universalist minister long ago referred to as my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against a variety of Unitarian Universalist injustices and abuses and hypocrisies, including, but by no means limited to, the two main issues: anti-religious intolerance and bigotry on the part of atheist, so-called humanist Unitarian Universalists, and also Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct of all kinds, whether it be clergy sexual misconduct or non-sexual forms of clergy misconduct. Today I've chalked on the sidewalk here some slogans basically referencing the fact and protesting against the fact that 16 months ago, in early June of 2012, I was served with a cease and desist demand letter on Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors letterhead, drafted by one Stikeman Elliott litigation lawyer by the name of Maître Marc-André Coulombe, and amongst some various accusations which I believe range from frivolous at best to ludicrous at worst. One of the most serious, if you want to use that term, accusation was that I was guilty of the crime of blasphemous libel for allegedly making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the Unitarian Universalist Association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. This is pretty well a very exact quote from the legal letter. It basically went on to say that such alleged allegations were unfounded and vicious, and therefore defamatory, and so defamatory to the extent that they constituted the crime, the criminal act of blasphemous libel against the Unitarian Universalist religion. Well, the fact of the matter is that the few allegations that I actually made about Unitarian Universalists engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape were by no means unfounded. I blogged about two specific cases where Unitarian Universalists had actually been convicted of rape of minors. In one case, it was a Unitarian Universalist minister by the name of Reverend Mac Mitchell, who lured vulnerable teenage Tibetan refugees away from their family in India on the pretext of offering them a better life in America. And once they were in his parsonage in the Boston area, basically I believe Northborough, and there was actually two congregations he served, but he had a parsonage. I should add that he was married, but these girls were basically repeatedly raped by Reverend Mac Mitchell, and he was eventually charged, tried, convicted. This is reported in newspapers, which you can find online. You just have to Google. And the other case was a Richard Buell of First Parish Norwell Unitarian Universalist Church in Massachusetts, and he was convicted of rape of preteen girls, including a female family member. This is all on the record in newspapers. I haven't checked the actual court files, but if I read in a newspaper that somebody was actually convicted of rape of preteen girls as young as 6 possibly, and certainly no older than 12 at the time of the rapes, and that one of them was a female family member, I think that I can take this as fairly reliable information. I don't think I have to check the actual court records to be absolutely sure that this is true. So here we are, two cases, well documented, reported in public sources, and yet the Unitarian Universalist Association is claiming that my blog posts about these cases are unfounded, false, defamatory. Well, I don't think so. And most ironically, even even if I was mistaken, even if I was making up stuff, which I'm not, it probably would not constitute blasphemous libel in any case. So, quite frankly, it was a bit silly, as far as I'm concerned, for Maître Marc-André Coulombe to actually accuse me of the crime of blasphemous libel on such an unfounded basis, when even if it was well-founded, it probably would not actually constitute blasphemous libel. So we're here, we're protesting against the false misuse of Canada's blasphemy law to try to force me to memory hole blog posts about convicted Unitarian Universalist pedophiles or rapists or both. The slogan at the back says Unitarian misuse of Canada's blasphemy law sucks you asterisk you. And then this closer slogan here calls upon the Canadian government to repeal or reform Canada's blasphemy law by 2014. So basically, I think, as a result of this clear misuse and abuse of Canada's blasphemy law by Unitarian Universalists seeking to cover up and hide the fact that some of their clergy, to say nothing of their Sunday school teachers, also known as religious educators, are in fact guilty of engaging in such despicable crimes, pedophilia and rape, is really a bit much, and I think the law that's on the books, which is very vague and not well defined, needs to either be completely repealed so that Canada simply does not have a blasphemy law in the 21st century, or reformed so that it's of a nature that we can live with in the 21st century. At present, Canada's blasphemy law is way too vague. It allows for too much misuse and abuse. Hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Pretty good.
How did they misuse the blasphemy libel law?
I received a cease and desist demand letter from Stegman Elliott, barristers and solicitors, in June of 2012, 16 months ago, and in it they accused me of a variety of things. They basically wanted me to take down blog posts, and they're accusing me of the crime of blasphemous libel, which is on the books in the Canadian Criminal Code, for allegedly making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the church engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So they're saying that, that I made false blog posts, and they're saying that these false blog posts amount to blasphemous libel. Well, they're wrong on two counts. The blog posts are not false. They're actually true. They're supported by newspaper reports and everything. And the second thing is, even if it was actually true, even if I was actually doing that, the act of doing that does not really amount to blasphemous libel anyway.
Okay.
So I'm basically protesting that. And because they did this, because they're abusing the law, and because the law is open to abuse, I'm basically, amongst other things, asking the government to either reform it or repeal it. In the 21st century...
Yeah, hopefully they get the laws off the books.
I think it would be best to get it off, because, how can Canada criticize Putin for what he did with Pussy Riot? How can Canada criticize Pakistan and all these other Muslim nations that have death penalties for blasphemy if it's got its own blasphemy law?
Yeah.
So I think the best thing would be to get rid of it completely.
Even libel, because even if it's
Well, no,
true,
that blasphemous libel, it's one thing. It's a specific crime.
No, for sure.
Essentially, it's libel, i.e. false allegations about a religion that are of a blasphemous nature. So it's not ordinary libel.
Okay.
It's an actual crime. And the problem with it is that it's poorly defined. It's a very vague passage.
Like all the laws.
Yeah. Well, not all of them.
Well,
Some of them are pretty specific, but there's jurisprudence. There's cases that went to court, and so you have you have precedent and so on. But the law itself is incredibly vague. I'm basically two issues. I'm demanding that the church retract and withdraw their accusation and apologize, and I'm demanding that the government should do something about the law itself.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Alrighty. So I think we're going to wind it up on that point. The problem? The problem is that the head office of this church, you know, the Vatican, as it were, of this church, are accusing me of blasphemous libel, which is a crime. They're saying that I'm blaspheming against the church because I wrote about ministers engaging in pedophilia and or rape. So, no, it's a crime.
Oh, is it crime?
It's a crime. They're not suing me. So they're accusing me of a crime that has not been prosecuted since 1936 because they're claiming that I've made false allegations about ministers engaging in pedophilia and or rape. Well, guess what? It's not false. What? Absolutely, yeah. Actually, here, I don't mind. Yeah, you do whatever you want with it. I'm pretty big on free speech.
That's okay. You do what you like to do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Long as you're right, don't worry about anything.
Yeah, exactly. I am right, and that's why I'm protesting. Sorry? Yeah. Catch you later. Thanks. Yeah. All right. So now we're done. 11 minutes, 37 seconds. Okay, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to just keep yammering here for a second. So here, you know, I was doing the video, and I had two members of the public ask questions. This is what Unitarian Universalists would call engaging in a free and responsible search for the truth and meaning of my protest, for the truth and meaning of my picket signs that I'm holding here, and for the truth and meaning of the writing on the sidewalk, as it were. So here we have ordinary Canadians, ordinary Montreal citizens, asking me, you know, what's the protest about? You know, what's the chalk on the sidewalk about? What are the picket signs about? And I tell them, and as you can see from the video, those two are basically supportive. And in fact, you know, I've been protesting here for over 15 years. My protest began in May of 1998, and it's been going steadily since then, with a few breaks here and there when I went on vacation or when the church managed to get a restraining order for a year on the basis of paranoid fantasies and perjurious lies, as far as I'm concerned. You know, the fact of the matter is that when there is a response from the public, when the public actually do ask questions or make some kind of response, it's overwhelmingly positive and supportive. I estimate that it's at least 80%. 8 out of 10 people are positive, and at most 2 out of 10 are negative. And the ones that are negative usually don't even bother to find out what it's about. You know, so I get positive responses from people who don't actually bother to find out exactly what the protest is about. But I also get positive responses from people who do stop and ask questions. And when it comes to the negative responses, which are few, the vast majority of those people never have tried to find out what the protest is actually about. And the interesting thing too is on those occasions where I've been able to talk to some of the people who responded in a negative, condemnatory manner, I was able to explain to them what the protest is about, why I'm doing this. They actually changed their mind. So on that note, we're going to wrap up this protest video and call it you know, a lengthy 14 or so minutes of monologue. Well, dialogue too, you know, because I was speaking to some members of the public. So yeah, people are now leaving the Unitarian Church of Montreal after the service, so they're seeing the signs and doing their very best to ignore them as usual. On that note, we're winding this up.